Exactly. So I want to invite Noelle to have a chance to talk and ask me or say something if she wishes to about Pam.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, thank you. Hello, Dr. Hassan. I have to say I've enjoyed listening to you thus far, and there's several things we definitely agree on, one of which is the social connection that so much of this activity revolves around and why it's so difficult to extract people from it. And my own research has showed me that explicitly. And I also agree that it's a real task that we all need to be involved in trying to figure out what sort of mass activity we can engage in to help bring people out of these rabbit holes. And that's something I've been trying to think about for a couple of years, knowing how time consuming it's been for me, just getting to know the three women that I am writing about. And this, I can imagine the millions out there that need to be talked to. So thank you for bringing those things up and showing me that
I have a lot of ideas about what works, but please continue.
So my question, actually, I'm going to just narrow it down to the interview that you did with Pam last week. I listened to the interview. And in the recent interview with Pam, you advised her to get her supporters to defend her from online, quote, haters, and that was Pam's word. Your word was attack her, quote, attack her. I have a problem with this suggestion for a couple of reasons. First, as I have no doubt you're aware, supporters who are sent out after attackers online typically deliver aggressive, threatening, and disparaging messages from a variety of anonymous accounts, often completely devoid of facts. But moreover, the words, quote, attack and, quote, haters, Pam's word again, is disingenuous and misleading in many cases. The events that have caused Pam's recent strife were not caused by trolls or haters originally. I'm assuming that much of this strife was caused by my threads. This happened because Pam began to create a platform built on a new and improved Pam, who suddenly wanted to promote rights for a variety of the marginalized communities that in some cases, just weeks before, she had condemned. There were many people willing to give Pam the benefit of the doubt and who believed that she was sincere about change. But when people in communities that were directly harmed by Pam's actions asked her if she would be willing to hear from those groups and to put into practice step 9 of the 12-step program she has embraced for over 4 decades, Hemphill refused. She didn't just refuse, she got angry and shouted things like, get a man's name to someone who had been misgendered, and get over it, it's not my problem, to a member of the Black community with questions about Pam's treatment of BLM supporters. Pam called me a hater too. Specifically, I was called a stalker and threatened with civil action. Pam then decided that it would be okay to post a blatant lie, a lie that she was aware was false, to her 20,000 followers to discredit me. She deleted that post along with several other posts wrongly calling me out in a variety of disparaging ways. And the reason for this was because I wrote a tweet laying out Pam's past. And as you know, Dr. Hassan, when someone decides that they want to take a national platform, they're going to have to expect a level of scrutiny that they might not otherwise have had to deal with. So here's my first question, and I have 3 of them, and I'll keep them brief. The first question is, do you believe that facts matter? And I believe you've already said facts are the only thing that matter. Is that correct?
Of course.
Okay. So we agree on that also. My second part of the question...
I've been doing this work for 47 years, Noelle.
I understand that. I just want to make sure we both agree that facts matter.
Yeah, I have 2 masters and a PhD. I'm a forensic expert.
You're much more educated than I know
but
this.
Facts matter. I'm very honest.
Non-denominational graduate student, so my hat's off to you on those multiple degrees.
I'm very honest.
I believe that. Right. So would you agree with me then, if facts matter, that it is appropriate to characterize the reporting of documented... Do you think it's appropriate to characterize the reporting of documented facts as attacks? That's the question. Because the message I got from listening to the interview with Pam last week was that when people are attacking you, you suggested you go get your supporters to defend you, even if those attacks are simply unpleasant facts. And that was a problem for me, because I've got a lot of really disparaging comments on nothing that can't be verified, and yet not one single person has told me what I got wrong. Because I did report facts.
I'd like to know what the facts are. And
well, let me start with one. I'll tell you one. Here's a fact, again, from your interview. At the 1-minute mark of that interview, you started out with I'll quote you. I'll start by just saying you were believing in Trump. Went to the Capitol on January 6th with the best of intentions, got caught up in the melee there, and eventually got arrested, was charged and sentenced to 2 months. But that isn't true. Here are the facts as stipulated by Pam Hemphill herself in her signed statement of offense that was part of her plea agreement. She agrees that on December 28, 2021, she posted to Facebook, "It's not going to be a fun Trump rally that is planned for January 6th. It's a war. The fight for America is real. You better show up. No excuses." Okay. On January 5th, the day before the Capitol insurrection, Hemphill told a group.
Agreeing with you that.
Yeah, right. Well, let me get there. So This isn't about Pam. This is actually a question for you. Hemphill told the group at an outdoor event, "I'm going to the Capitol," and advised others in the crowd to occupy the Capitol as well. This is all in the statement of offense that Pam signed as fact. So when she was kicked out, she also bragged to other rioters she had been inside and was the first one behind the gate, a direct quote from the statement of offense. But when you introduced Pam to your audience, you led them to believe when you told them that she had the best of intentions, that she was a confused grandmother who just happened to find herself amongst this melee, when if you look at the actual statement of facts in the case as part of her plea agreement, that's false. So my question for you, Dr. Hassan, I applaud you for working with people trying to get out of destructive cults, of which there are more than we can even count. I myself have been recruited into multiple in my research account. I applaud all of that work. But what I object to, and I applaud Pam, okay, first of all, this is not a personal vendetta about Pam. This is compartmentalized research material that I've gathered over the course of 3 years because I study women and right-wing radicalization. And so this was not a personal attack on Pam, and because she's not a subject I'm actually working with or writing about, it was information I shared as knowledge. Because I think it's important that if people want to take a national platform and say, this is what someone who has reformed looks like, then we need to present an accurate portrait of that, which again is where steps 9 of the AA comes in. Because step 9 talks about making amends, and it talks about making direct amends. Meaning you have to go to the community, go to the individual that you have. And by what I've heard in the past spaces, when that's shut down and people are blocked for asking questions that make her uncomfortable, that's unfortunate. And I think that you, as a therapist and or cult expert who's helping her extract herself from these far right-wing beliefs that have been held for many, many, many years, that it's important for you to educate yourself on the actual facts so that your audience will hear that, no, this wasn't the confused grandma. This is actually this woman who had been drawn into a cult, who was brainwashed to the point where she thought it was going to be okay as early as December to storm the Capitol, who told people the night before the insurrection. To me, that's more powerful than just some confused grandma.
I agree with you.
Then I guess my question is, why didn't you read her sentencing documents so that you knew she wasn't just a confused grandma?
I plead guilty. I did not read her sentencing documents. And honestly, I watched her CNN interview and another interview with Australia.
I don't want to interrupt you, but really quick. The CNN interview
I want to...
was why I did my thread. In fact, my thread was towards them, not her.
Let me just finish, if I may.
Yes, of course.
I have a blog on my website, and I would like to amend it, and I'm happy to post a link to all of your information about my interview with Pam, and because I apologize that I didn't do my due diligence. I try to educate myself. Normally, when I'm interviewing people, I read their books first. I didn't read her past book. She said, I got it wrong, and I feel badly about that. But I would like to make amends too.
I think just by accepting that responsibility, you have. Thank you. I appreciate that. And that was what I was looking for with Pam. In fact,
Pam wanted me to call on you, so you had your chance to speak and say whatever else you want to say, and then Pam would like to chime in. That would be cool.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. I was really all I had to say. Is it how important it is for people with larger platforms who are helping Pam create her own, how important it is that the people who are mentoring her get the facts straight and present factual information. So I appreciate you taking responsibility for that. And I appreciate
1,000%. I have an email on my website also, and people... I hear from people, this interview, you interrupt too much, Steve. It's like, yeah, I'm guilty. I'm working on it. Sorry. Steve, I've been listening to your podcast for a year. I'm tired of hearing your story about you and the Moonies. Can you stop talking about it? It's like, well, I'm aware that some people have heard it a lot, but a lot of people haven't. So I'll try to keep it brief. But it's part of what I think is an educational effort to say, hey, this frickin' happened to me. Like, I became a right-wing fascist. I thought that we needed to kill people who didn't agree with the moon theology. That's how far gone I was. So,
Stephen?
I appreciate, yeah, go ahead, Pam.
If one accusation at a time could be presented to me, I could give you my side of the story. One fact at a time.
Pam, if you recall, before I put my tweet out, I actually sent you a text message on your cell phone as well as a message in Twitter, because when we spoke on the phone, I had told you I was not writing about you.
You're blocked on my cell phone. I didn't get it.
Well, I did in Twitter. This is before I was blocked, actually. It was before I was blocked.
What's the fact that I can answer? One.
There's no fact I need to know. The facts speak for themselves.
Wait. You just put out a fact about my court order, what's in my court papers, right?
Yeah, I don't need any questions about it. It was answered in your statement of offense that you signed.
No, but you used that against Stephen.
Yes, that was a whole separate issue.
Okay, but let me tell you that what you don't know is those facts from the prosecutor were disputed by me and my attorney.
But the bottom line is you signed it as a statement of fact. That's what your official record is.
That's what you do when you do a plea bargaining. You just have to accept what they say.
But
you
Pam,
don't get it.
Yeah, I'm going to go with whatever the court filing says as a statement of fact and a statement of offense.
What's it have to do with
Noelle,
it had to do with Dr. Hassan's
Noelle, hang on a second. You know how the justice system works with plea deals. People often have to sign things that aren't true. But
the problem is, everything that was in there, the things I cited anyway, I already have other evidence for, such as clippings I got back in 21 from social media and things I have evidence of myself that actually happened. So I have the photo evidence of it. I just was making it easier by using the statement of offense that Pam signed, thinking that would be the thing that would be least controversial. But if we're going to argue that, we'll have to pass on that.
What's your hope now? Now that we're talking, like,
what my hope? Well, I got my hope. I got you to understand why it was important before platforming someone on an even larger platform to make sure that you understood the actual background you were supporting. You've already taken responsibility for that, and I thanked you.
I said I didn't read the statement, and Pam said, actually, I disputed the statement, but I did sign it. So I'm able to hear both things. And
that's fine. I'm just saying, I also know the social media pictures. I've seen all the pictures, so I know those things happened.
Yeah, but if you
know, I fasted for Richard Nixon during Watergate.
You fasted for Nixon before. For Watergate. Okay. We're going to get off topic, and I'm going to go ahead and bring us right back to where we need to be. And just say the only other thing I would like is an apology from Pam for putting out a complete lie about me that I went with Eamon Bundy's People's Rights campaign. That's actual defamation. And of course, I'm not threatening that. I just would like an apology.
Oh, but you just did.
I'm not threatening to sue anybody because that's not my style, but I am saying that really was not okay to do.
Can I also say one thing before, as she's thinking about that question? I just want to say, I've observed this, Noelle, so I don't know you, but one of my observations too is this. Pam was MAGA. She was full MAGA and all that comes with it. And that was not that long ago. And in fact, when I used to get very, very angry with Pam in her spaces early on, it was because she would say stupid shit like, well, I might still vote for Trump. Like, what? So I know this woman is MAGA. I'm not asking her to pass a purity test. That's all I'm
Nor am I. I'm asking her if she's willing to make direct amends.
Actually, because the way...
Direct amends is all I would like to know.
Okay. Well, direct
amends means listening to people.
It is not defined as internet trolls coming in and asking for something.
No, it's not. Has she contacted the people of Standing Rock, for example?
And I know exactly who the trolls are, Noelle. because they attack me every day.
I'm feeling it's interesting. I feel like I'm immediately supposed to feel defensive right now because
No,
some of you.
hold on, Lola.
Let's all take the energy down a level or two.
Yeah, let's take a breath.
Wait,
Seriously.
I want to address Standing
This
Rock.
isn't personal. This is just
Nicole, have you read the book?
Noelle.
Noelle.
Your book? No, I did not.
Then why do you think I need to make an amends then?
Because I've talked to several people.
Yeah, have they read the book?
I've read excerpts, and I've heard your podcast. I heard the podcast you talked about infiltrating the camp. Yeah, I did.
No.
It's from the Las Vegas Live.
That's a lie.
It's not a lie. I have the clip, Pam.
What clip?
It was a podcast you did in 2016 with a woman in Las Vegas, and it was.
Oh yeah. What about?
It's you talk about how you infiltrated these sites at Standing Rock.
I did not infiltrate. I invited.
Okay, whatever. Anyway, you can listen to what you said. And I'm saying there are people out there who want apologies, who want you to acknowledge and accept that you did some pretty unscrupulous things.
No, I didn't. I wrote the book as a journalist at the time with the facts that were there. I have my opinions. There's facts in a book, and then there's opinions.
This isn't about the book.
Let me finish.
It's not about the book. It's about the actions on site.
There's no actions on site. Give me a break.
And I don't want to stray off topic. I really would like you just to say.
No, let me finish what I'm saying.
Go ahead.
The chief came to me and my boyfriend at the time and said to leave because they hijacked the Standing Rock protest. It's not the protest that they want. They advised me to leave. I came back and researched and wrote a book about it. Every day what happened that day. My opinions in that book I want to change because it was about Trump. There's a lot of stuff about Trump. There's a whole chapter in there.
As early as 2016?
There's a whole chapter.
It was all Trump as early as 2016. Is that what I hear you saying?
Yes.
Okay.
So there's a chapter in there from the elders and all the good things I said about the elders that were against the protest. So there's no amends. There's a correction of opinions about Trump that I need to change. But you don't make amends for something you didn't have an intent to hurt anybody. There was no intent. There's just facts about what happened.
You did harm them, and maybe you didn't understand culturally how that was, but they're telling you, yes, in fact, you did. Is it not worth listening to that?
That's absolutely, but nobody has come to me.
I want to interrupt, if I may. Forgive me, both of you. But you know what? We're all humans. Nobody's perfect. People talk out of their own opinions and experience. A lot of times people act defensive, they say things that they regret, things are taken out of context. And honestly, let's try to give each other the benefit of the doubt based on today, not what happened 10 years ago or 50 years ago when I was a frickin' fascist.
How is that right? We arrested Nazis 50, 60 years later. I mean, we don't just give people a free pass when they harm communities, do we?
If people are Nazis, have you listened to look at my work. I'm a Jew. And
I'm aware about that.
I'm very down on.
But you're saying I've heard this multiple times now because of our ages.
But Pam's not a Nazi,
because of this, because
and
so long
she's
ago.
no longer, in the.
So facts have an expiration date.
Excuse me?
Do facts have an expiration date then, and they no longer matter?
Do facts?
Pam was doing this stuff in January, February, and March of 2023.
Grow.
No, that's what I'm saying. These aren't facts that happened 10 years ago. These were happening less than 6 months ago.
Okay, can I ask a couple of questions here?
Go ahead.
You are right that some of these things happened as recently as January. Do you realize? And April. Do you realize it's only been since April that Pam has been on this off-ramp journey, realizing the error of the ways of being in a cult, and that every day since then she's learning new ways that her behavior in the past had hurt people, and every day she's making new revelations about these things. Every day she's apologizing and making amends. Every single day, Noelle, she is doing the work to come out of that awful way of thinking when you're under the cult spell. Now, when she said that she went to the Capitol with good intentions, I 1000% believe that. Because
She didn't say that.
let me finish, please. Let me finish, if you don't mind. I'd like to finish. Because when you're in that mindset and you think that you are going to save your president, who is like Jesus to you, because that's the way the cult operates. When you go to the Capitol thinking that you are saving your country, indeed, you are going there with good intentions. Now, those good intentions may not align with your beliefs now, or they may not align with her beliefs today, but they've aligned with her beliefs back then. And truth is subjective. Facts are not subjective, but truth is subjective. And her truth at that time was that she was going there with good intentions, okay? It wasn't until later she learned that those good intentions were not really what should have been aligned with right livelihood or doing the right thing. But when you're under the spell of a cult, and Dr. Hassan can probably back me up on this, when you're under that spell, your belief system is skewed.
Snowden, I could.
We're getting sidetracked because this isn't my issue. January 6th isn't my issue. None of it's my issue. The issue is making amends with the actual community.
Wait, hold on. Hold on.
No,
Wait, let me finish. Your job is not to tell me how to work my 12-step program. I'm sorry. I'm making amends. I'm making amends by being here. No, Nicole, you are trying to bash me.
No, I'm not. I'm not
yes,
trying to
you
bash
are.
you, but I'm not going to allow you to be the model of what Reformation looks like.
That's not up to you. That's not your decision.
Correct, but it's my.
It's not. You are not God.
Just like
Go ahead.
everyone.
Go ahead, love.
Boris,
Go ahead, love.
It's not about exposing. It's about saying this person won't make amends. I believe that you want to change. I believe.
Bring them in. Bring the people in.
So would you be willing to?
She
If it was done in a way that we weren't attacked?
Noelle, but if you believe that she wants to make amends, why be so hard on her? Why not speak softer? Why not explain?
I did.
Why not
I was actually in the beginning until I got jumped. So then I got.
Let's take a deep breath, take a step back, because nobody should be jumped, and we shouldn't, and I apologize. I was on a phone call, so I didn't hear all the conversation. But the one thing that I want to comment on, that of some of the things, and I'm not privy to everything that transpired, but I've spent a lot of time with Pam, and we've spoken a lot. And she's confided in me and stuff that transpired. Like, for instance, when she misgendered that gentleman, and she said that she apologized, and then we went back and forth about that. But it takes two to tango. If she said something, if she turned around and misgendered somebody, that person also should have responsibility and be kind enough to talk nicely instead of getting angry and attacking and saying, well, you're misogynist, or you're bad, or you're this, and explain to her and say, Pam, that hurt me. And if she give her the opportunity to apologize and learn, because she's coming from a world where certain things might be new to her, and like Snowden said, this is only a few months that she's been out of the cult compared to how many years she's been in the cult. So I mean, we have to take a little consideration, and not even though we might get offended by something she might say, we have to give her the opportunity and try to help her and teach her and give her a platform, and to be able to understand and apologize and move on, instead of taking it personally, like she meant it, and that's it, and now we're going to go at each other's throat. Don't you agree with me, Noelle?
I do, and I would agree that someone would do what you're doing, for example, and doing and showing the change through action and through your behaviors. And so that's where the disconnect comes in for me. Even now, when I ask for an apology for a blatant lie that was posted aligning me with Ammon Bundy, I was yelled at. And thumbs down from Jim, and I'm kind of like, okay, cool. So
no, you weren't. I never got a chance to even. I haven't gotten a chance to respond.
All I want is an apology, and I want you to say it was false.
Well,
and I'll shut up.
First, I have to check with my resource that gave me that information.
No, you don't.
I'm going to tell them that you're denying it, and I want to see what they say.
Pam, you had your camera in the poor man's face for so many years. You would have known if I was part of it. Give me a break.
But I will apologize. Yeah, I'd like David to get a chance too. And
Did you say you will apologize?
If I find out that it's not a fact, yes. Absolutely.
Well, you know what? How about this?
Lolo.
I'll go ahead and go straight to the source and ask him. I have a Bundy. I'll try to message him and get an answer because, I mean, that's defamation.
Lolo, can I bring up
Don't
Don't
your
facts
anything?
matter?
Yeah,
Okay,
I do.
Jim. Sorry, Noelle.
So anyway, I'm gonna stop speaking and go away here. But I just want to say, Pam, this is not a personal thing, and
Actually,
I support your journey.
Noelle,
What?
I think it's beneficial if you stay.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
I'm only willing to
will
stay for
not
so long, and I'm not going to be attacked by
these-
Jim. So
These things
I will
will.
No, we're not gonna
things will
attack.
Not go
Oh,
away,
I've been
not
attacked by
resolved.
Jim. I've never even laid eyes on Jim or followed Jim. I've avoided learning anything about this side
Well,
of the internet.
That's not
He
fair.
hasn't
That's
even
not
spoken.
fair.
So why?
Yes, he has. He posted something to me about me leaving
Wait,
Pam alone.
Wait, Nicole,
Yeah,
I
sign
let you up here, and you
let
attacked
me
me. So
Fine.
why don't you stay in here, Jim?
I will
Come
hear.
on.
I will hear it as long as I'm able to correct any misinformation because I will
Well,
not allow you.
I haven't
How
had
about
it.
this, Pam? Pam, can I say something? Why don't we take a deep breath again? Let's all calm down and let's use this space. Since you and I applaud you, Noelle, because you're coming in to a group of Pam supporters, and and I
Yeah,
and
y'all
I,
been in my DMs
no,
for 2 weeks. I ain't afraid of you anymore.
No, but see, I want you to take a step back and because right now I understand you're angry and you're defensive. And
I'm actually frustrated. I think.
it may be frustrated, whatever the word is. I'm not
That's
trying to
worse.
pick words, but let's take a deep breath. Let's calm down for a second. Let's try to have a good conversation because even like what you're saying, that let Jim explain himself. Why don't you guys have a normal conversation? Because maybe there's more to it than it is, and we could clear it up. Because if we could find peace and clear up all the misunderstandings between you and Pam and you and Jim and going forward, I mean that would be much better than if anybody left here being frustrated, pissed off, or angry at each other.
There's nothing. I mean,
Whoa, I didn't expect that one.
Sorry,
I'm
I'm
Sandler.
trying to figure.
Oh,
this
that was
out.
Dr. Steven.
That was Steven. I didn't know where that came from.
I was trying to clap and say yay. I'm
Well,
sorry.
just so you know, this isn't about settling a beef between me and Pam. I actually was when Pam first started this journey. I actually did try to help her a few times, and she'll tell you that. Tried to show her how not to amplify information she disagreed with, etc. I backed off again. It was all about the amends piece. It's about taking responsibility, even if it's ugly, even if it's uncomfortable, and that's where I'm going to stop. I mean, there's nothing you can say or do, anyone here, to tell me those things didn't happen, and don't need some sort of acknowledgement.
No, Nicole, let me tell you, I appreciate you. I really do. And any way I can make amends to you or whoever.
I told you
Please.
how you make amends with me, and you can take back the lie you told about me yesterday morning that you
Well,
deleted within an hour.
Well, hold on. Let me finish, you guys. Nicole, just hold on. At the time, I didn't know it's a lie. If you're saying it's a lie, I'll take your word for it. And so I will apologize. I will be speaking to those people and tell them that they shouldn't give me that kind of information. So I apologize, Nicole. And I'm
Thank you.
sorry. I really am sorry.
I
I'm
appreciate
not.
And I think this is a great step, and I think this is a great step, Noelle and Pam, because look,
It's not kumbaya, just to go on record here. I'm not kumbayaing here. I'm just saying
More-
thank you to what felt like an apology.
and it was a real apology because I heard it, we all heard it. This is not kumbaya. The space, Pam put the space up together and invited Steven here, invited me and Lolo and Jim and some people here because she wants to make amends. She's trying to, and it's hard for her. And all I'm asking you is just to understand that yes, she wasn't perfect and she made a lot of mistakes. And some people even came to me and said, well, she did this or she did that, and my response was, she probably did. I didn't even go into her background because when she was in the cult, just like from my own experience, I'll give you an example. When I was out there in Ukraine digging up dirt on Joe and Hunter Biden, I thought I'm a hero. I thought I'm saving our country from democracy. I couldn't imagine that I was doing bad things, and it took me, until I had to actually end up in prison and reflect and understand and see and have the chance to really realize what I was doing to be able to accept my mandate. It didn't take a week or two. It took a little time also, and that's why I'm just saying, let's just give her a chance, and and if she messes up, and we're there to pick her up and help her and explain to her. But if you have facts and you're seeing that she's doing something outrageous and behind the back, then yes, facts do matter. Because you know what, if somebody's playing games and not being true to their word, we should call them out and we should deal with that. But if she makes mistakes, we should be a little bit more lenient and understand that it's only been a few months compared to all the brainwashing she went through. Especially like you said, you've done a lot of research on women and cults, and you understand what they go through and what happens and how long the brainwashing happens. So that's all I'm asking you. I'm saying to you.
Sure. This is not about Trump, though. Again, this is about racism, and I don't look at racism as a cult. I look at it as a characteristic or a trait someone carries with them, and that's really where I'm at with it. It's just about how are we addressing the racism? Are we okay with Trump and MAGA being on the outs, but racism still being cool? Because that's kind of where I'm at, trying to figure that part.
I have no idea what you're saying.
That's not fair.
Right now, I have no idea what you're saying.
Yeah, well, it actually is fair. It's a very fair
No,
question.
it's not, because it's a dumbass characterization of how anyone in this room feels about that
you don't want to
issue.
deal with, but I can bring up both.
No, no, you should bring the receipts, because I haven't seen all of them yet.
When
So
you're in
bring
an
them all.
argument, with
Bring
someone,
them.
it's hard to talk about being gay, raped by black men. That's a problem. When you talk about my sponsor as my
Wait a minute.
Why are you questioning? Did you investigate that?
When you have, I've heard it with my own ears, and I've seen videos,
Noelle.
including one that's up right now.
Did you research it to find out if it was false? Is that your deal?
It's Pam's video, so I'm assuming unless
Did
she's got
you
deep fake,
investigate it to
here's
see
that.
if it was false? Are you
No,
claiming
wait.
it was false?
Wait,
My claim what's false.
what? No, I have a black sponsor. I was
Yeah,
raped
she has
by
a black
two-
sponsor.
I was
Use
raped.
the language.
Hold on a
used.
second.
Our
Nicole?
beautiful black people is one.
Pam,
Wait, I was
I'm going to
raped.
respond to this real quick. I need to
Anyway,
respond to this.
and
Because-
the Native American, indigenous stuff. Those are the two issues I
Noelle.
have, is making amends with those two communities. And
Yeah,
probably
hold on.
transphobia.
Noelle,
We need to do
Noelle,
one at a
Noelle.
time.
Sorry, she's monologuing right now.
I'm not monologuing. I asked.
Guys, I'm sorry I muted everybody because everybody's talking over each other and nobody could hear, nobody could understand. Let's take all a deep breath. Let's take turns. So Noelle, make your comment, and then Lolo and whoever else will take turns and we'll respond, and let's have a normal conversation. Because if we have conversation and good dialogue, we'll get to the bottom of it and we'll be able to fix it or move on. If we just start using our emotions right now, we're never going to get anywhere, and people are just going to get offended into an argument, and it's going to turn even to worse. So let's take a deep breath. I'm going to unmute now. Noelle, make your comment. What is it that is bothering you? And then let's try to address it, and so we could see if we could fix it.
Okay. The only thing that's bothering me at all is, again, I'm willing to go along for the ride here of reform, but not. But I have a problem when it comes to yelling at people that harms caused in the past are not her problem, because that's not what reform looks like. It's about reflection. It's about listening to communities and trying to understand why culturally even that it was a problem. It's listening. It's listening. It's a crucial component as well for long-term recovery. It's a major step. And
I agree with you. I agree with you 100%.
So that's my problem. Period.
But let's not talk. But let's not talk over. If there's an actual problem, if you feel that she's a racist or something like that, let's
think
discuss
things
it.
have been done that are racist, and if they're
In the
not
past.
racist, they deserve to be addressed directly with the communities.
So
Yes,
what
past.
you're saying in the
Well,
past, you
as
don't.
recently as putting something up in February or March about the Proud Boys being like and a black man up against an all-white jury in the South and civil rights. I mean, there were still memes and racist memes as recently as this spring. That's
and
what
that's
I'm saying.
fair, but she was still in the cult at that time. So let's
No, she
understand.
wasn't in the. So that meme was put out in the cult. You're right. But
Yeah,
it
so
doesn't matter. Again, I already
It
know.
does.
what you know, and I'm not gonna slide me off of that.
But what I'm trying to do is get. I mean, at that time she was on the cult, and if and I agree with you
Sure,
that she needs to.
responsibility for it then.
She needs to
By
take
addressing
responsibility
the-
for exactly,
Sure.
and she needs to listen and learn from those communities and not be attacked by
That's
them.
exactly
And that's what I
right.
say.
That's exactly
But I think that where we're having the disconnect is when she goes into some of these spaces and people in that community come out. Some of those people are agitators or agitated or angry,
Probably
and
should
they
be done one-on-one then. I mean, there's different ways it can be
exactly,
done.
and and because when a person feels attacked, just like yourself, you get right away frustrated, angry, and same thing happens to Pam. And that doesn't, you can't teach anybody anything, because then your guards go up and you get fixated. And if she came into a community and somebody took the time and basically said, hey, Pam, I want you to understand how it hurt the community by you saying that, and explain to her and let her understand it. And then if she still kept on saying it, then I would agree with you 100%. But we have to give her the opportunity to understand.
I mean, we have given her that opportunity, and it's been shut down, and people get blocked when they ask questions. And
that's not entirely true. And also, there needs to be a correction on calling her a grifter too, because I would like you to cite where she's trying to raise money anywhere, Noelle.
Grifting doesn't need to be raising money. Grifting can be multiple media appearances, so celebrating 20,000 followers. It's
so you can't tell. You want her to be quiet. Is that what you want, Noelle? Would you like
grifting implies that she's raising money. That's what and the other thing that has been
said.
Give, send, go in April.
She had a give, send, go in April.
Where?
She had a give, send, go in April.
Does she have it now? Does she have it
I don't think so anymore, but she was also asking for direct donations.
Oh.
I'd like David Weissman to speak.
Absolutely. I have that. I don't say any. I'm like a.
Let's
I'm not going to ask a question.
Steven let Steven speak. Let him respond. Noelle, let Steven respond.
First of all, Lev, you are a master. I'm so impressed with your ability to mediate this. You are a gem. And David Weissman, I actually asked to come on. And before I go off, I'd like David, who was like the original MAGA troll to me. He was a major force in educating me. And I wrote about him in The Cult of Trump. So can we unmute David Weissman and have him weigh in, please?
Absolutely.
David, you just press her. Hi, David. Welcome. Yeah, there you go.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me. So, I'm sure a lot of you guys know my story, where I came from and all that stuff. I do want to say about how Trumpism it's more than a cult. It's like an ideology. And the best way to describe it, before the primaries, I was actually a Ted Cruz supporter, which how right-wing I was before my MAGA days. And once I jumped on that Trump chain, the ideology really consumes you. You get so engulfed in that, and you really believe that you're being a patriot. You really believe that you're, trying to help your country. And basically, it took like an intervention, I guess the best way to describe it, to help me see like what kind of ideology it is. And and I remember my early days when I was dialoguing with liberals and Democrats, and outside of that, I learned how people were telling me like how Trumpism is racism. We don't know it. We don't realize that it is a racist ideology. We don't realize it's a sexist ideology. But it takes a lot of people, a lot of dialogue, a lot of sidebar conversations to help people, to see people what they believe in. And I don't think people realize that. And because everybody, I still talk to Trump supporters nowadays, and they really do care about the country, and they are good people. It's the worldview that needs to be changed, and that's if you can get that, if you can show them that their worldview is wrong, then they'll be open to like, oh, okay, now that makes sense. And it's like a snowball effect that you can see like one thing after another. So I think the best thing we need to do is like tell people that this is an ideology. And it's more than just a cult. I mean, it is a cult because Trump is a cult leader, cult personality. But it's like I said, it's this ideology, Trumpism, and I think people realize that it would make sense to see where Trump supporters are coming from. And the thing is, they're not going to listen to us. They think we're traitors to their cause. So this is why we need to tell you guys about it, where you guys can do that for others that was done to us. But yeah, it's a ideology is the best way to describe it.
Thank you, David, and I agree with you 100%. And the one thing also want to touch on Noelle, and to be fair to Pam, that we're talking about Trumpism and cult, Trump's cult and ideology, and that's one thing. But Pam grew up in a different society. She grew up in a world where it wasn't just Trump. The Bundy, and all those people had different beliefs. So we need to be fair to understand exactly, and to be able to give her a landing zone, and to be able to help her to get out of it if she's willing and wanting to get out of it, and not just be so really quick on the trigger and just accuse her of things, even if she makes a mistake.
Well,
even if
can I ask you one question about that, though?
Yeah, absolutely. Please.
As recently as 3 weeks ago, there was a Twitter space that I had never been in before, but went to speak in, and had been in there several times. And the one I was in, I guess Pam accused the host of that space of threatening to give me death threats. And that just didn't happen. And I think what we need to remember is that in and of itself is
actually, Noelle, I have a recording. I have a recording. I have a recording of him. Hold on. I have a recording of him saying, I'd like to hit the old bitch. So I have that on recording. I'd like to hit an old bitch. I'd like to hit an old bitch is what he said. And I have it on recording. I have it on recording. That's a physical threat.
It's violence, yes.
Okay, but can I just say something, no fashion, and I'll let you speak in a second. I just want to respond to Noelle because I know what she's talking about, and I want to just also tell you I went to that space a couple of days afterwards, because when Pam told me that happened, and that there was a gentleman there that and that they were bashing her, and I said, Pam, let me go there and let me go speak to them and let me find out what the problem is. And I can tell you the first thing that happened is they attacked me for being a racist. So I just want you to understand, the people in that space did not want to hear anything. The second that I just wanted to just say, hey, let's understand what was said and what's being done. The second they said that I support Pam, that means I'm a racist because I said it. They did not want to hear anything. And that was the gentleman. So I want to just say to you.
In that space that you're talking about, but I know one thing I've heard in passing.
But I was in that space. That's what I'm saying to you.
Right.
I was also in that space.
I think what you have to think about is historically what it means when a white woman makes an accusation against a black man. And not historically. It happened in Central Park with a goddamn birder. I mean, it's a threat that's taken a lot more seriously. And it has murderous implications.
But Noelle, but there's plenty of black people that support Pam because they know that she's not a racist.
That is not the point. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with making accusations. Her historically damning people killed.
Love, Corey, he's a sedition hunter. He has the recording where they did give me a death threat in the space, and I could get that from him. He's a sedition hunter.
I need to make a correction real quick, and it's really important. And this is something that is really important for you to understand, Noelle. You said about 5 minutes ago that you asserted that Pam was lying when she said that she was gang raped by 2 black men. And I was in the space where she was trying to explain that she does not hold it against anybody in.
She said, "I don't hold it against your culture."
Let me finish, please. Come on, you've had plenty of time to talk.
Just inserting facts.
Just correct the record on
Stop
this, if you don't mind.
Please.
If you don't mind, I would like to correct the record, because the reason that she said that is because even though that had happened to her, she doesn't hold it against a whole group of people because they were accusing her of being racist. And that's a really tough thing to try to fight against. The minute you say, I'm not a racist, I have a friend who's of color, then they accuse you of being more of a racist for even saying that. It's really hard to defend against that. But I want to go on the record real quick. Jim, hold on 1 second, and just say to you that indeed happened. And for you to assert that Pam was lying to say that she was gang raped by 2 black men when she was 15 years old, that happened.
It was the context in which she threw it out.
She did, because
to say that she was not racist because of that.
she was using that example to say that she doesn't hold that against a whole group of people just because it happened. So they were wrong to be saying that she's racist because of that. But you cannot use that and say that she was lying about that, which you just did 5 minutes ago. And I need to correct that record. That happened to her.
I'm not disputing it. I don't know that to be one or the other. I'm saying it's appropriate.
Wait a minute. Can I interject as one of the...
Yes, go ahead.
I've had my hand up for like 20 minutes. And I would really like to be able to say something.
Stop it. Let Jim go and then stop it.
So, look, I think the thing that's missing here for me is the motivation behind attacking people. So I'm not going to accuse Noelle of anything. I don't care about Noelle. Frankly, I think giving her 45 minutes in here to do what trolls do is not necessarily the best idea. This is called concern trolling. Every single thing that is said is analyzed for any negative connotation that is brought to the surface and used as a weapon against the target. It happens every single time. Laugh if you want, Noelle, but it's been happening to me for 3 years. I know how this works. The reason that Pam is being attacked is because Pam is healing people. And excuse me, I'm not finished.
Are you saying this to me?
I am talking right now. I said I don't care about you. I would like to finish my sentence. Pam is being attacked because she's a healer, because she is making amends. Out of the millions of people who did horrible, racist, criminal, seditious shit during the 2020 election, Pam is in the top, I don't know, one person who is actually trying to make amends by first going to prison, by accepting her deal, even if she doesn't agree with all of the details, by doing space after space after space and dealing with attack after attack after attack. That is how you make amends. That is what she is doing. And so I don't know why this particular person is doing this particular thing, but I can say that the group of people surrounding this whole effort to try and make Pam some kind of monster is notorious for this. That they do it for a fucking living. Now, I don't know if what Noelle or whoever's relationship is to these people, but I know these people. They are criminal stalkers. And given the fact that they are going after Pam, this whole operation is intentionally generated. It's generated by people who cannot stand the idea that we might bring people out of this cult, that we might bring people from these harmful beliefs into the world of the normal. That is why she's being attacked. And that is why so many people are supporting her, because we believe in what she's doing, which is trying to heal herself and everyone along with her. I object to people making disingenuous attacks on people who are doing good work, period. And so, if I wrote a snarky reply on your disingenuous thread, that's just what I do. I am here to support Pam. I know she's made mistakes. She knows she made mistakes. She was in prison. So I just want to say out loud, what's important here to me, that I think has been missing from this conversation, is the context that there is a reason for this. There's a motivation for it. And the motivation is to prevent healing because they want division. That is the point. Thank you for the time.
Can I add it now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Go for it.
God bless you.
Okay. So
Thank you, Jim.
I guess as one or maybe one of the main black persons in the room from Harlem, New York, number one, okay, I take great offense when there are individuals that try to use the 500 years of hurt and pain that black people have endured for their own sick personal reasons. That's really insulting to me. And that person needs now should make amends to all black people. So let's start there since we're doing the amendment talk, okay? Some people using the hurt and pain of other people for their own reasons, that is sick, period. That's number one. Number two, I have to figure out, what does this other person have? What do they get out of this? Somebody telling somebody, well, you need to make amends to this community and that community. Oh, wait, are you a part of that community? No, I'm not a part of that community. Well, what the hell? Well, what you got to do with that? I'm so goddamn confused on what the, like, so this is what makes it seem disingenuous. Now, I'm going to tell you something. Now, Pam has asked me personally on the side, like, what does she do? How did she get around this? People calling her racist. And I told her, the way this world is, when you get labeled a racist, a snitch, a pedophile, anything negative or derogatory or terrorist, there is no getting rid of it. It's none. It's done. You're stuck with it pretty much forever. You're stuck with it. You're stuck. Even if you meet one or two people privately and you able to change their mind and they like, oh damn, you know what, yeah, I didn't even research that. Guess what, there's another 1,000 people that heard it, and therefore so it's impossible. That's the reason why a liar, a troll, or an agitator is one of the worst type of people on this planet, because they put out the lie and they can go hide, and then the lie takes a life of its own at warp speed, and you cannot catch it. You can't catch it. It's impossible. It goes across. That's why defamation, that's why when you sue for defamation, you're entitled to damages, because once the defamation goes out, it's pretty much hard to eradicate. Even when newspapers are forced to make a correction, like, oh, I'm sorry, we said they did ABC, but it was D, E, and F. It might be too late because everyone read ABC. It's really too late. So I told Pam, there's no getting around it. It is what it is. And Noelle knows this because Noelle's not stupid. She's not stupid. I don't know what her motive is.
I'm sorry, was Pam found guilty of defamation somewhere I'm not aware of?
No, you're not. Okay, you're missing my point. This goes to my other point. When she mentioned that you was coming, because me and you spoke before, Noelle, you remember, in those other spaces. And I told you directly, I told Pam she shouldn't talk to you at all. I'm going to tell you that up. I told her she shouldn't talk to you. And I'm going to tell you why. Because in my opinion, you're disingenuous, but you're not really... You're not a overt troll. You're not like a rude, disrespectful troll like some of the other people's spaces. You're real cool. You good. I give you that. You good, Noelle. I'm giving you your props. You good. You smooth with it. If I didn't know no better, but I don't believe you. I believe that you disingenuous. And I didn't think that there's nothing Pam can tell you. And you might as well keep it real. There's nothing Pam can tell you that's going to ever change your mind. And you might as well just keep it real like that. And I mean, if you keep it real, I think this will smooth everything over. And I don't like, not just with Pam, I don't like when anyone tries just to use somebody's errors or mistake, and now you're trying to oppress them. Well, you made an error. You need to make amends. Oh, okay, what do I do? Well, you need to get on your knees and start shining shoes. You need to wash their... What do you... See, no, we ain't doing that. No one's doing that. And I told her not to do that. I told her that. So don't blame her. I told her, whether she follows what I said or not, that's on her. I don't like seeing that. That's oppression. That is oppression. And I'm going to give you another example. So look, Hillary Clinton, she's made statements. She called us predators. She's a part of the 1994 crime bill that I went to jail for. I did 2 state prisons here in New York. That was a part of that. I've been directly affected by Hillary Clinton, Bill, Joe Biden and all the Democrats and some of the Republicans. I've been affected. I still voted for Hillary. I still voted for Joe Biden. Do I need an apology for them? I don't need no apology for them. Apologize for what? It's too late. It was already done. Just move on. And Joe Biden, he's made amends as far as I'm concerned, because there have been issues in the black community. They feel that Joe Biden is a racist. And I'm like, well, he might be racist, but he sure ain't creating racist policies. So, I'm like, you understand what I'm saying? My point to you is this, Noelle. You're swallowing gnats, and you're straining a whole fucking camels. This is not that serious. If you want a story to chase after, Noelle, I have a story for you to chase after, and we both can chase after this. How about we chase after the white lady in Florida that shot through her goddamn door and killed the black lady, since you're concerned about black people, in front of her 2 black daughters? And Florida will not prosecute her. Do you want to go down to Florida? I think that's a little bit more serious than Pam making some statements to some Native Americans and some black people. What you think about that, Noelle? What's your take on that one? That's a real story right there. And I don't want
to give her no more platform. Stephen, I have a question for you.
Yeah, I've got just about 7 more minutes before I'm
Yeah. I know.